The annexation of Crimea in 2014 was a turning point in modern warfare. While the world watched as unmarked soldiers, later dubbed Little Green Men, took control of key infrastructure in Crimea, the real architects of the operation were hidden in the shadows. The GRU, Russia's military intelligence agency, had been planning this move for years, and when the moment came, they executed it with precision. This was not just a military invasion. It was a masterclass in hybrid warfare, where deception, infiltration, and psychological manipulation played a bigger role than bullets. Months before Russian troops officially set foot in Crimea, GRU operatives had already infiltrated the region, posing as civilians, journalists, and local politicians. Their mission: weaken Ukrainian defenses from within, gather intelligence, and lay the groundwork for a swift, bloodless takeover. They bribed, blackmailed, and recruited key Ukrainian military officers, ensuring that when the operation began, many of Crimea's defenses would simply stand down. On February 27, 2014, the plan was set into motion. Well-trained GRU operatives led the seizure of the Crimean parliament, forcing lawmakers to vote in favor of a Russian-installed government. At the same time, GRU-backed militias surrounded Ukrainian military bases, cutting them off from reinforcements and supplies. The Little Green Men, fully equipped with Russian weapons but lacking insignias, flooded the streets, creating the illusion that this was a spontaneous uprising by Crimean locals rather than a Kremlin-orchestrated military takeover. One of the GRU's most critical tasks was controlling the information space. Russian operatives hacked Ukrainian communications, spreading false reports that violent Ukrainian nationalists were heading to Crimea to attack ethnic Russians. Pro-Kremlin media channels flooded the airwaves with disinformation, creating fear and confusion among the population. Fake news stories about Western-backed fascists in Kiev were used to justify Russia's intervention. The GRU's psychological warfare campaign was so effective that many Crimeans welcomed Russian troops, believing they were protecting them from an imminent threat. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of the operation was the sheer speed of execution. Within days, Crimea was under full Russian control, and not a single bullet had been fired by the Ukrainian military. By the time the world realized what had happened, it was too late. Russia held a referendum under military occupation, declared overwhelming support for annexation, and officially absorbed Crimea into the Russian Federation on March 18, 2014. For the GRU, Crimea was a textbook success story. They had orchestrated an entire territorial takeover without a full-scale war, using a combination of special forces, disinformation, cyber warfare, and political manipulation. The operation was so effective that NATO and Western intelligence agencies struggled to counteract Russia's narrative, and by the time sanctions were imposed, Russia had already solidified its control over the peninsula. Crimea wasn't just a victory for Russia, it was a blueprint for future hybrid warfare. The GRU had demonstrated that wars of the 21st century wouldn't be fought just with tanks and missiles. They would be fought through covert operations, psychological manipulation, cyber attacks, and deception. The annexation of Crimea sent shockwaves across the world. It emboldened Russia to use similar tactics in eastern Ukraine, leading to the bloody war in the Donbass. It also exposed the weaknesses of NATO and Western intelligence, showing that traditional military alliances were unprepared to deal with this new form of warfare. Even today, the GRU's role in Crimea serves as a warning. Russia does not need a conventional army to seize territory. It only needs operatives who can infiltrate, manipulate, and control a region before the first shots are even fired.